I think it'd be really interesting just to go a little bit into how we got where we got with things like recruiter productivity. So, I've been at LinkedIn for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was 10 years at Google. And if I remember when I started at Google, we were at the start of the position of building the machine. And it was about making a machine of recruiting and literally churning as many people through, because you were the asset, you were the company, whether it was Amazon, Meta, anybody else, people flocked to you, and it's overwhelming. And I think the machine was put in place to be able to churn through that. Therefore, we kind of went in reverse of what old school quote unquote recruiting was. We went back to pushing metrics and then productivity, as opposed to going back to what you said, meeting people where they are and pushing it from a recruiter and a relationship basis. Moving into my time within LinkedIn, it goes back the other way. So it's back to going into that, like, let's focus on the relationship and let's look at what we're having from an impact perspective. But interestingly, in the space I operate in, which is the leadership and executive function, it's even more pronounced in that world, because we can't use a metric of like, how productive are you? We're looking at hiring our VP, SVP, a C-level person. You can't say like, hey, show us the productivity around that, because there's maybe 4 people out there that can do the job. So flipping that is completely different. And I love that aspect of saying, meeting people where they are, but also trying not to get back to the machine of recruiting and going to that old school relationship driven recruiting. I think it is quite honestly the future of the business.
Yeah, I think the part where like data is great, and it's essential, but where the industry's probably gone wrong is like, oh, we can just mechanize everything, and Google would need to do that. But then the problem is you have the outlier companies that talk about how they do it, and then you have companies that should never be doing it that way, trying to like replicate it just because they see that as best practice.